Did you think you were done with the Minions? Have you enjoyed the last 5 years of this Minion hiatus? Well, your break is over now, as Minions 2 is of course being produced for a 2020 release, and really, that makes perfect sense. Did you know the Minion movie is in the top 5 highest grossing animated movies of all time? It was at number 2 when it came out, only being overthrown by Frozen at the time and 3 films just last year. Minions are an unstoppable beast. And it might actually be good this time around. Don't get me wrong, I am as skeptical about this film as pretty much anyone else, but the more I look into it, the more I'm starting to like it. Maybe I've just been looking at the same yellow pixels for too long, but hear me out here. Welcome to episode 1 of a new unscheduled series, TTT, or Trending Trailer Talks. I still don't know if I like the talks in the name, but TTT sounds nice. Whenever a notable enough trailer pops up, I'll make an informed little piece about it, either straight away or on the nearest Friday. So Minions 2 The Rise of Gru had its trailer release this week, for some in the middle of the Super Bowl, which isn't that just a wonderful gift? And it turns out there's more to see here than you'd think at first glance, as there were actually 2 trailers released. Yeah, for whatever reason, there was a trailer for the trailer that ended up revealing more than the main one. How's that for bananas? I hate myself. The main trailer is actually pretty basic. It's mostly just telling the story up front, not really flashy or anything at all. So, Gru as a youngling is approaching the Vicious Six at an interview. If you're wondering, that secret record player of evil here sounds like this when it's unreversed.
Welcome to the Vicious Six.
Just a load of crap. What were you really expecting? I hope you like those Minions transitions, as the squealing sounds have already begun, and you know they're gonna get a whole lot louder soon. Gru acts all nervous, avoids the auditionees, and is berated by the group, who consists of the new leader, a French miming lobster hand dude, a nun with nunchucks, a guy with iron fists, and a punky skater man. There's only 5 of them, as they apparently fired their leader, Wild Knuckles, according to IMDb. This character, by the way, we don't see in any of the trailer footage, but he is set to join up with Gru later on to assist him. Spoilers if you care about that kind of thing for the Minions movie too. To impress them, Gru then steals their stone thingy and runs out. This lair was disguised as a record shop, by the way. It is the 1970s. They flee and we see everybody's skills, you know, it's the classic prologue stuff, and they get away by clashing everyone else together. There's some typical cliche stuff going on pretty much the whole time, but like under the vehicle is one of the main ones. Though actually, there's a couple extra things to note. For one, the first film was very much oversaturated with mainstream songs to cover any action scenes with just the most basic entertainment for its entire wide audience, and it very much looks like it's gonna be the same thing happening here. Also, plot-wise, Otto, the new enlarged minion with braces, gets separated with the medallion and goes on his own adventure, presumably to die horribly by the end of the film since he never appears in the future films. Or the creators really needed something new to spice up the crowd again and will shoehorn him into later films somehow. I'm gonna pause for a minute here and swap over to the other teaser trailer for some more coverage, since this main trailer then starts hopping about now that this prologue has been set up. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe! If other popular trailers pop up anytime soon, I'll be covering them here, and I can tell when you're watching this channel unsubscribed, so you better do it. But before we hit that teaser trailer directly, something to note with the first Minions film is that it did really badly, review-wise anyway. Many critics and people on the internet hated the film. They hated Minions as a whole. Makes sense if you ask me, and those Facebook memes our parents shared about didn't exactly help, did it? But one of the key issues with that film was the fact that it felt awfully unfocused. The main characters were just minions who didn't know what they were doing and simply got by on luck. It was a lot of faffing around, and Gru hadn't been met yet. This film is different. It's called The Rise of Gru, and from the looks of this trailer, he's a pretty prevalent character, obviously. Perhaps this film will even try for a 50-50 split of Gru and his minions, split pathways and all of that. And that is not as bad as it could have been. With Gru at the center point again, this isn't so much a sequel to the terrible Minion movie, it's more like a prequel to the Despicable Me's, and that isn't as bad an idea at all. Despicable Me at times can actually be considered good, so it's food for thought to see how this turns out. But let's move on to the teaser trailer now, shall we? Now, this one has a lot more separated bits mashed up in all sorts of random ways, but something we do see is the leader on her bike again being confronted by a whole new gang, and they're not her people as she slams the door on their fingers, or she's just really rude to her own, I don't know, whatever. It's a cliche joke, but it could add another layer to the film. There's another faction against the Vicious Six. Also, they have finger guns, because this is E for everybody, right? Yeah. Anyway, back to the main trailer. The next thing we see is Gru and the minions at his new lair. Everyone's celebrating, but how was it made? The teaser trailer's got you covered there. Here's the gang putting everything in its place, including a portrait of Gru's mum, and hey, I think that's Kevin, Stuart, and Bob from the first movie. Bob's even got his rat friend, hey. They are supposedly characters in this film, so who knows where that one goes. Oh, also, there's a bomb in the lair, and the rat's surprisingly not too scared of it, huh. And as a final thing, at the end of the teaser is what I imagine the final speech from Gru, which is apparently a little more boring than usual. The minion on fire in the background here could also be the explosive one from earlier. If they keep their traits throughout the whole movie, then it'd be a nice way to spread some diversity in there, I guess. But moving on back to the official trailer, I'm going to use that as the kind of skeleton point to push us through this video. Here's the Vicious Six in their access to the garage and the vehicle upgrades they all have. A giant lobster, a rollerblade, a flying car, candles, and a tank, kind of fitting their personalities and an awful lot going on at once, but hey, there it is. Here's more of Gru's speech, though we basically hear it throughout the whole trailer, and I assume you've probably watched it because it's going to be jammed down your throat for the next 3 months. And I don't quite know about this scene. Did he steal underwear too, or is this just merch? Is he celebrating the medallion, or is he just a goofy kid? It's probably not important, but you know it's going to be in all the trailers. We've got to see that Vicious Six butt. And then we come to Otto. Story-wise, he doesn't have the medallion anymore as he traded it for a pet rock at a kid's party. Gotta make that plot from somewhere, and presumably this is gonna be the center point of the plot that makes at least either Gru or Otto or the trio or whatever retrieving it for most of the film. Is that a lantern minion in the background or something? What happened there? Oh, but if you want to see more of Otto, here's a shot of his pearly whites. It's from the teaser trailer, of course, and they're standing in a funky small little home. It looks like this could be Gru's old place with his mum, or at least above the lair that they're currently in from before. And we see it a couple more times. First in the most random part of the teaser, Tupperware! Where apparently there's a Tupperware party going on for some reason, hosted by the minions with some real humans, and then soon afterwards in the real trailer we see the Vicious Six crash in. Maybe it's a red herring location that Gru just set up to redirect the Vicious Six, but it does spout that same old cliche joke again. Don't you just love quality comedy? Hey, I wonder what the internet's reaction to these trailers are. Oh, comments are turned off. Well, isn't that a shame? Good job every trailer has like 10 re-uploads on the site. The two type of comments are either middle-aged mums or meme lords. It's pretty standard YouTube stuff, you know. That teaser trailer still has some new stuff to touch on that the original didn't even come near to, as we've now basically exhausted the main trailer. For example, there's a whole hippie faction to consider too in this film. Here's Kevin, Stuart, and Bob getting beaten up in a Chinatown alleyway, and really that's what we're all here for. Here's the boss ripping chest hair out of one of the goons, and a whole nother hippie type doing yoga with Gru's mum. There's also a plane sequence mixed in there somewhere. I don't know where they come from or where they're going, but here's Kevin and Stuart as pilots and Bob as an air hostess. Is Otto on his own third adventure then, or is he stuck to Gru? Is there 3 pathways in this whole film? Either way, here's Bob with a peanut. That's a perfect way to wrap up this whole movie, isn't it? Just interrupt yourself with Bob and a peanut. And somehow, all of these separate pieces all fly in together to make one new Minion movie. I can't exactly put it all in order like I was hoping to just yet, but these films are pretty nonsensical anyway with their antics, so who can guess anything really? There is a lot to unpack everywhere, really. There's still those surface-level jokes and cliche moments that impress absolutely nobody in the crowd. There's room for improvement with Gru being around and Otto having his own plotline. And this world is admittedly still quite fun. I just like the crazy characters in these movies sometimes, and I just hope it doesn't become a cluttered mess with all of these elements now. We haven't even seen Wild Knuckles yet, and whatever he's supposed to be doing. Either way, I hope it's not too jumbled up, cause I'll be forced to watch it one way or another. A Minions sequel makes all of us groan, but a Despicable Me prequel might not be the worst thing in the world. I guess we'll just have to see, because we can't exactly avoid them making loud noises in our faces. I personally am going to try and look into this with a bit of a positive attitude. Perhaps as more trailers come out, I'll be even less excited for each individual one, and there are still those cliche jokes, but there is genuinely room for depth. There's nothing in this trailer that I absolutely hate yet. I like those kind of secret evil villain type openings, even from the first film and this one too, as much as it doesn't mean anything in reverse. And I am slightly interested to see how Gru is as a youngling character and how everything expands into different directions. I don't know, I wouldn't say that I was excited or I'm a big fan of this franchise, but it's not a complete fiery mess ball of terrible right now. It's just in a weird limbo. Sometimes there's a genuinely interesting idea that could be explored in a new way, and then sometimes there's a tennis ball that showed up like poop. Sometimes there's a Tupperware party, and I want to know where that goes. Other times, I'm going to be forced to look at this damn Vicious 6 underwear scene way too many times over the next few months. Either way, apparently Minions: The Rise of Gru, which, by the way, doesn't actually have a 2 in the title, releases on the 3rd of July 2020. So we've got a solid 5 months of trailers and super eager waiting, and I'm sure none of us can hold on to the patience on that one until we finally have this comedy animation hitting our big screens. Illumination may not have the greatest reputation, but they know how to make films that make money. And maybe they can make a good film at the same time. They've done it a couple times before. We'll see. I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna review it on this channel at some point when it does come out, but otherwise, do let me know your thoughts on the trailer. Do you really just expect this to be a fiery, minion-y heap trash of terrible, or maybe you have a little bit of optimism in you? Maybe it's more Despicable Me than it is Minions. I'd like to know your thoughts, because I might be the only one. My name's been Dazz. You didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit. With all this chat about Gru being tiny in the trailer, what do you think the odds are that the ending will be that Gru has a very sudden growth spurt at the end of this all? Maybe it's too easy a joke, or just not formatable for another Minion movie, but you know, maybe he just sort of, oops. I don't know, we'll see. At least the memes will be good.